What happened in 1992 was after the beating of Rodney King, and the jury announced their verdict of not guilty for the police officers that had beaten him up. There was a huge uprising in the South Los Angeles area. We didn't necessarily want an explainer podcast about the history of the 1992 uprising, but really we wanted to look at how it's affecting us here in Los Angeles in the present, but also how we could continue to move forward knowing what we know now. So Forward Together is a podcast that commemorates the 30th anniversary of the 1992 LA uprising. It's commissioned by the LA Human Relations Commission
and also the LA Civil Rights Department. And basically what we were trying to do with the podcast is we wanted to educate the people who didn't know about the civil unrest, but also kind of look at it through a more 21st century lens.
Stacy, she reached out to USC Annenberg asking if anyone had podcasting and audio editing experience in the school to help her with this project. I and a couple of my colleagues, Elle Davidson, Hannah Kang, and Daniel Hom, we had an initial meeting to kind of discuss the idea, how it could be logistically put forward, and what roles each of the four of us would play.
From the Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and the Human Relations Commission, welcome to Forward Together. Lisa Ling is our host. She's this great Asian American journalist.
For the first episode, it was more historical.
We had Reverend J. Edgar Boyd, who's in charge of First AME Church. He was in conversation with Emil Mack, who's this Korean firefighter.
This is another reminder, the 30th anniversary. This is going to happen again, people, because we have not addressed the underlying issues of inequality, inequity, and all the other unfortunate circumstances that the African American community so deeply feel.
And for my episode, I was interviewing two artists, Justin Chan and Victoria Casanova. We kind of delved more into art and how art can be a medium to kind of bring people together.
Now we're at the 30th anniversary, it's the same shit. When I made Gook, I had no idea, I could have never predicted we would have more rioting in Los Angeles because of police.
And the third episode, we had two activists. One of them is Haewon Asfa. She is one of the founding members of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and she's both Korean and Black. She was then in conversation with Kwon-ji Lee, who is a Korean therapist and community activist.
People think that the LA uprisings came out of nowhere, but there was a lot of tension brewing in LA. And a lot of it was the cultural difference. You know what I mean? The way, being a Black and Korean person, the way Korean people roll and the way Black people roll is very different.
And I think having these conversations right now is important because we want there to be accurate representation, accurate documentation of what happened so that people later on who weren't even born during the unrest like myself have something concrete, something accurate to kind of build on.